Hey there, Ray from Bridge Marina in beautiful Lake Hopatcong, New Jersey, or upstate New Jersey. I'm doing a quick live this afternoon just to chat for a little bit because, I don't know, it's a Wednesday afternoon. Wednesday afternoon? It's Thursday afternoon. It's Thursday afternoon. And like, what better time to think? So if you are on here, where we do a bunch of education, training, rentals, boating club, boat sales, we do a little bit of everything. But our idea of being here is to bring you some information about boating, about getting to boating, or maybe you're a boat owner. I don't know. But if you are on here, I really appreciate you just, throw something in the comments. You don't know why you're here, maybe, or maybe you're a boater and that's why you're here. You're an outdoors person. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly how this is getting fed up to right this second, but we are boating people. I guess we're normal people too, but we're boating people here. So what we do is get people into boating through our educational programs, our hands-on training, and then of course folks may want to rent a boat or be in a boating club or own a boat, and we support that too in our marina. But probably the biggest thing about boating that we hear from folks that are not boaters themselves is like they don't understand on how to get in. So I'm here to kind of answer a couple of questions today, like how do I get into boating? It's not always just simple as like buy a boat. It can be more complicated than that. And then of course, the other thing we see a lot of is folks that are existing boaters that got into boating, but maybe weren't trained correctly or they didn't get the right information about it and are finding themselves in some sort of jam. Much like any other activity you do. Like, I don't know, what do you do? Maybe you are a mountain biker, or maybe you like classic cars. I don't know. But there's always certain hurdles or things you got to figure out along the way. And that's something we do as a company, but that's also what we do with a lot of our online content. So I appreciate you being here. Again, Ray from Bridge Marina in Lake Hopatcong, New Jersey. If you don't mind, throw up whatever question you have. I'll try to answer them. Try to keep it to boating. I mean, I'll try other things too, but try to keep it to boating, and I'll answer your questions. Always love to hear where people are from. So if you want, just throw in where you're from, or even just throw into the comments like, "Hey, you're a boater, you're not a boater," anything that you like, and we'll see if we can answer it for you. But the to start off, like today, I'm in a weird spot. I'm on a boat, but we are inside a shrink wrap boat because it is the middle of winter here in Lake Hopatcong, New Jersey, and we are I want to say in the mountains of New Jersey, so we do have a lot of snow here. Although probably all of New Jersey has snow right now, but we do got a couple feet of snow out there. So we're inside a shrink wrap boat, so it kind of feels like we are in a boat. I got my steering wheel here, my helm, and I want to start off with new boaters. If you are new boater, or maybe you're not even a boater yet, and you're wondering why you're even getting this, it's one of the secrets about boating is it's a little bit of a runway to get started. If you want to be an operator, if you just want to be a passenger, it's pretty easy. But if you want to be an operator of a boat, there's a little bit of a runway. Not a scary one, but much like anything, you need to learn. So that's something we do here at the marina. It's something I suggest everybody does is get a level of education before you get in the water. Here in New Jersey, we have boating safety certificates, which is a requirement for you to operate a boat in the state of New Jersey. Is you got to get a boating safety certificate, which is really it's like an online or a classroom education course. The cool thing is it kind of covers most parts of boating, so you have a good fundamental awareness. And once you get it and you take it once in your life, it's good forever. Like you keep that certificate for the rest of your life. The next thing that we suggest is getting some training. And you can do it with us, which is great. You can do it with other captains or something like that, or maybe you got a really good friend that's a good boat operator. And I mentioned that is a good boat operator because you do want to do train somebody who knows what they're doing to kind of get you through that first hurdle of how to operate the boat, what to do with it, some of the safety things, some of the etiquette, some of those things that you don't necessarily get from the course, because the course is, it's a book course at the end of the day. And not that we can't learn a lot from books, but boating requires a lot of feel, a lot of hands-on. And that's one of the things that you get when you get out in the water and get some training is you'll get behind a wheel, maybe a boat like this, and actually learn how to shift it, like learn how to steer it, learn what happens when you turn the wheel one way and put the gear in one thing, because boating is different than operating a car. There's a bit of a learning curve with it. And unlike a car, which has brakes that stop and start, or if something goes wrong, you just hit the brakes and kind of hold on. With a boat, the boat never really stops moving until it's tied up at the dock. And unfortunately, docking is probably one of the hardest parts of boating that folks don't tell you about. And so, if you don't know what you're doing behind the wheel, boating can be more stressful, very high anxiety. So you do want to get some hands-on training with folks. And if you come out, training is pretty comfortable, especially here at Bridge Marina. We have really great trainers. We've got really amazing processes that we developed over the last 20 years to make learning how to boat easy, fast, I'd say relatively fast, and then to get you out in the water so you feel more comfortable. And when you feel more comfortable, you have more fun. When you have more fun, you want to boat more. And that's really our thought process when we think about boating. So operating a boat might be a little bit different. We can get you comfortable with the helm, kind of get you used to what's up here, how a shifter works, how to manage the steering wheel or how to manage the wheel. And then, of course, everything else that's going on, whether it be depth finder and GPS, how to use some of your accessories, how to use trim, like a bunch of different things we're going to help show you when you get into a training site. After you've done that, you really want to consider, am I want to rent a boat? Do I want to join a boating club? Do I want to own a boat maybe? And, we can help you through that. And, those things really depend on how much commitment, how much value you see in it, how much money you want to invest in it. And you really want to have somebody help you walk through that to understand like what's the right fit for you, because it's not the same thing for everybody. It doesn't stay consistent throughout your life. Likely, you may want to rent a boat one year, be in a boating club for a couple of years, and maybe ultimately want to own a boat. And maybe once you own one, you may want to sell it and be a renter again. We see people kind of cycle through a lot of different aspects of boat access throughout their lifetime. So I always say it's not really one thing; it changes. Or maybe, by the way, at the end of the day, maybe you just want to be on a friend's boat, because that could be a pretty good boat too if you just use somebody else's boat. Anyway, so I don't know if we've got any questions popping up there yet, Gus. Gus is our moderator here. But I had to take a couple questions if you can, whether you're on Facebook or TikTok. LinkedIn, doesn't matter. I'll take them from any of those spots. I can't see them, unfortunately. I'm not that technologically advanced. But sometimes we get some, and he'll just give me a holler and I'll throw them in. But once again, right here from Bridge Marina, I'm in Lake Hopatcong, New Jersey. We're also in Highlands, New Jersey. If you're familiar with where that is the northern part of the Jersey Shore, across from Manhattan, to Sandy Hook, which is a national park here. We are both in saltwater as well as freshwater, and which is kind of cool because we get to enjoy the salt stuff and we get to enjoy the freshwater stuff. Gus, looks like you had a question.
Yeah, so our first question would be, do you need a license to boat in New Jersey?
So the question was, do you need the license to boat in New Jersey? And the answer is yes, but it's really called a boating safety certificate. So I mentioned earlier about a boating safety certificate that everybody needs to operate a boat in New Jersey. It is a state mandated course. We do it here at the marina. We try to make it kind of fun, but it is a regimented course. The cool thing about it is once you have it once, you keep it for the rest of your life. So I got mine when I was 13. It is the same boating safety course. And I keep it through today. It's only a couple of years later, but it's a joke. But no, really, you do keep it for the rest of your life, which is kind of cool. And my boating certificate in New Jersey actually transfers to just about every other state. So although it's a New Jersey boating certificate, I get to use it wherever I go, which is pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So thanks for whoever posted that question. Again, it's Ray with Bridge Marina here in Lake Hopatcong, New Jersey. If you have questions, please throw them up there. Or if you want to just tell me where you're from, just write in there. I'm from Italy or I'm from Michigan. We'd love to see where folks are from. And of course, if there's anything else you got questions about, I'm glad to try to help. It looks like we got another question. Guess what do we got?
Yeah, so a follow-up question is, how old do you have to be to drive a boat?
How old do you have to drive a boat? Okay, well, that's a little more challenging. The question is, how old do you need to be to drive a boat? I'm going to use in New Jersey, it ranges 13 to 16. So if you're driving a boat like the one I'm sitting in, which is a high horsepower boat, you need to be 16 and over. If you are the age between 13 and 16, you can drive something that's under 10 horsepower, and an outboard. So, it changes. And it goes state by state, but you're going to probably find most states run somewhere in that 13 to 16 range, or 12 to 16 range to operate a boat with some significant power. All personal watercraft in most places are 16. Don't quote me, but in personal watercraft, typically in the United States, you can find it's about 16. Not all states have requirements of boating safety certificates, but you're going to find it, over the next couple of years, it's going to start expanding. A lot of states do right now. So great question. I appreciate whoever sent that one in. Talking a lot about boating safety certificates. So it really is your basic education to get into boating. Sometimes folks see it as a little boring requirement, but like, it's like anything else. You need to kind of know the nuts and bolts of what you're getting into. You need to know the regulations. You need to know how to stay safe. You need to know some of the terminology. So if you're thinking about getting into boating, like boating education course is a great way to start. You can even get free ones out there, although be aware the free ones may not meet your state certifications. So, if you're going to invest the time in it, I suggest you go to whatever state you're in, look up the boating safety certificate requirements, and just go take the course. It's really pretty expensive, typically less than $50, and you get your boating safety certificate, which is a pretty cool thing. So, if you have any questions, shoot them. It looks like Gus, you got a question?
Yes, so the next one's going to be, what's the difference between joining a boat club and renting a boat?
Gotcha. All right. Well, thanks for the question of what's the difference between the boating club and a boat rental. So what's between a boat club and a boat rental? A lot of people don't understand what a boating club is. So let me explain that real quick. The boating club is a membership program like a gym. You go to the gym and you get access to all this gym equipment and probably access to other things at the gym, maybe a trainer, maybe the showers, like you get all this equipment, but you don't own anything and you pay, monthly or annually. That's like what a boating club is. You're going to get access to a whole fleet of boats, all the equipment, some personal training, maybe showers and bathrooms, like a whole bunch of stuff for an annual fee, but you don't own anything. So it's a great way to get into being a boat without having to own anything. It's very cost effective. And that's usually for folks that are going to be somewhat invested. They're going out 5, 10, 15, 50 times a year. That's where a boating club really hits. It's like owning a boat, but I don't own a boat. Then, of course, there's boat rentals. Boat rentals is like a very finite version of a boating club. So you're usually renting a boat for 2, 4, 6, 8 hours, something of that nature, maybe a couple days. Price is probably not as competitive as owning a boating club. When you look at number of times you got there, you're probably not going to get as much freedom as you do when you're in a boating club, but you get to get out in the water. And the cool thing for you, as somebody that wants to get in boating, is like when I rent a boat, there's not much commitment. I'm going out for a half day and then I'm done and I go home. So rentals are great if you just want to test the water, or you're not sure how much you're going to go out, or you just want to test it out. You only go once or twice a year. A boat rental is awesome because you go use it, you enjoy it, and you get out. And I'll do boat rentals when I travel very often because I don't want to drag a boat someplace. And I own a lot of boats, but like if I'm going to Florida or if I'm going away somewhere, like I will literally go rent a boat rather than bring my own, because it could be very cost effective. I get to go rent a boat for a day or a week, and then I'm done and I can kind of walk away. So if you are someone that's trying to get into boating, don't want a commitment, a boat rental is awesome. But if you're the kind of person that wants to go out a lot, that wants more freedoms with that boat, that wants bigger, better, sexier boats, a boating club could be a great solution, especially if you want the training, the support, the amenities. Boating clubs are great. So thanks for the question, whoever did. I hope I answered it well. If you have more questions, just tag them in there. Again, just for anybody who just joined, I am Ray Fernandez. I'm here in Lake Hopatcong, New Jersey, and we're just talking about boating today. We're inside a boat. If you're wondering where we are in a shrink wrap boat. It's probably 40 degrees out there and 60 degrees in here, so it's kind of nice. And we thought it'd be a good time to hop on here and have a conversation about boating in the middle of winter. So if there's any more questions, throw them in there. We're just going to be on here a couple minutes today, but I do want to let you know we are going to be doing more of these this week. So if this is of interest to you, it popped up on your page, follow us. Keep an eye out. We're going to be here on Saturday doing a boating show at the marina, which we're going to be going live a few times, answering questions, looking at some boats, having some conversations. So I'd love to see you there. And again, this weekend, we're having a boating show here in Lake Hopatcong at Bridge Marina, where you can get out here, chat with some of our team, hop on one of our live feeds, whatever suits you to understand more about boats. That's what we're here for. So I appreciate you watching, and I look forward to seeing you on the water soon. So if we have any more questions, guys, shoot them off to me. I don't know if we got anything in the queue.
The last one's going to be if we service boats.
Do we service boats? So yes, Bridge Marina, we do service boats. I mentioned we do a bunch of things here between education, training, rentals, boating club. We sell new and used boats. And then, of course, we have a service department where we take care of all the boats that are in that in our fleets, as well as a few hundred customers locally. And probably on top of that, we also have marinas that we store boats in. So we do a little bit of everything. And the reason we do that is it's very logistic for us to do all these services because, a lot of times some of the things we do for our fleet boats are the same we can do for service customers or slip customers. And it makes us very well rounded that we can really take care of all types of guests and take great care of them. And then we also really understand what their needs are very well because, we own 60 plus boats of our own. So we really understand the type of service that you need to do to keep them running all the time in great shape. And we do that for, again, probably about 300-400 guests a year where we keep their boats top shape running for them. So when they want a boat, the boat is ready. So yes, we do have a service department. Thanks for the question. I'm going to wrap it up because I got to get to some other things today, but I appreciate you watching. Thanks for coming out. And I look forward to hopefully getting you on the water soon. Take care.